when I'm giving people tours of 18th Street, this question of what is social practice comes up a lot, and so I have to say something in very short order. And so my definition of it has to do with artists who are working with non-arts people to somehow impact a policy issue or create a shift in an area of our society that in a direction that they would like to see that go. And so I'm leaving that very broadly defined because, I suppose there are people who are conservative who might start to embrace the idea of social practice to move something in a conservative direction, but I haven't really seen that very much. I've mostly been seeing artists who are trying to move policy issues in a more liberal direction. So, and often, I can just stop there as my definition.
Would you give me some concrete examples?
That's a good question. There have been so many. I could certainly talk about an artist like John Malpede, who has been doing street theater in downtown Los Angeles and Skid Row for probably 30 years now with homeless people. And so he's training through the act of theater homeless people how to be their own advocates for the issues that they're confronted with on a daily basis as living a life of homelessness. Another example, we have the Otis MFA program in social public practice based here, which is really fantastic. That was founded by Suzanne Lacey. And one of the projects that they did, I think it was maybe even their first year that they were here, was in Layton, California, up in the Central Valley of California. It was a really very interesting project where the entire class, the Otis MFA class, went to a town where one of the students was from there, and they participated with the entire community of Layton, California, in re-envisioning what their community could look like. And so it resulted in all kinds of fun and practical projects that were culminated all together. So like they painted storefronts, new colors that hadn't been done in a while. They created a free store that people could go in and take anything from. There were porch front performances along the main drag. They had let's see, I'm trying to remember. They did some really interesting photography with portraiture of the townspeople that was then presented inside the local pub as an art exhibit. So they turned the pub into a presenting space, and they turned a hair salon into a presenting space. And anyway, I thought that was kind of a more, in some ways, whimsical, but also very deeply practical kind of a project. So,
and what do you think are some of the challenges that operate in this field?
I think the biggest challenge right now is still, it's been a challenge since the very beginning in this field, which is that social practice is like an ugly stepchild to the fine art, right? It's hard to talk about still. There isn't quite robust language for it. Because you're asking us what's the definition of it, we know that there are many ways that it's defined. And and also the products of it are often not necessarily aesthetically beautiful in the way that certain people expect art to be. You know, it doesn't nicely hang on a wall or sit on the middle of a museum floor, or you know, it has its challenges in the way that you present it and talk about it. And sometimes people, in an attempt to make it meaningful to the art world, go into a very academic way of talking about it, and that creates its own sets of barriers. And other times they talk about it in a way that is geared entirely towards non-artists, and it might lose some of its power as an artwork in that context. So it's a hybrid kind of thing, and a lot of hybrids have challenges that way, because it's like, is it over here or is it over here?
Where do you think it's heading? What do you see when you look into the future, or hope for?
Well, you know, there's been some really interesting things going on here in Los Angeles in the last 2 or 3 years. Maybe you've heard about them. There was a year-long series or convenings that, who did it? I can't remember. It was the LA County Arts Commission was one of the sponsors, and I'll remember who the other one was in a minute. It was California Community Foundation. Were you involved in those? It was an initiative inspired by 2 people who were really interested in this subject, and what they hoped to accomplish, but they're both funders, California Community Foundation and LA County Arts Commission, and many of their grantees, like 18th Street, are doing public practice type projects in some shape or form. But in the case of the California Community Foundation, for example, the arts are a small part of their whole portfolio of things that they fund. Their bigger portfolio is all in the social service area. And so they were really interested in realizing that, you know, the arts people are talking a lot about this kind of work, but the people in the social service sector really aren't talking about it, or it's not on their radar really at all. And so the intention behind these convenings was to get more cross-sector conversations going. And I think there was some success there, but so in terms of the future, one of the things that we all notice, so the arts people are pretty sophisticated about, this is what we can do, these are the resources we have all these amazing artists, we're aware of the issues, you know, the food desert, or, you know, I mean, you can pick any number of topics. The challenge often, though, is when you start to partner with a non-arts agency or group of people, what their expectations are and how to work with them. And so the process of bringing them along, and whether it's we need to be more educated about how they work, or they need to be more educated about how we work, there's a lot of work that needs to be done there.